Okay, so I'm back today with another continuation video on die-offs and managements on GAPS diet. I am talking about detoxing on GAPS particularly. The experience, what's like, what you can expect, and my best tips for getting through it and dealing with it. Hello lovely parents, this is your dietitian and CGP Pooja and welcome back to my corner of the healing world. So first off, let's kind of define what I'm talking about when I'm saying detoxing on GAPS, because in the last video I talked about die-offs versus food intolerance. Here I would like to explain a bit about what is detoxification, why it's linked with GAPS diet and die-offs, and how to support to encourage healthy detox, and also to support the body when it's naturally wanting to detox on its own, which happens on GAPS and is a good thing. But the main theme of this video is going to be talking about what it is like when your kids are going through especially the beginning of GAPS and your kid's body is starting to switch into that build and repair mode, and funny things start to happen, and it can be a little bit confusing sometimes to know how to navigate throughout and how to cope, not to cope necessarily, but make the most of it and support your kid's body, and how to have the right mindset about it. So on our last video we talked about toxins that are released while the body would be getting relieved from different pathogens and all that used to cause the symptoms and inflammations in their body. The very process of putting the toxins on bay is detoxification, and the die-offs are just the visual effects of that process. Let's break down what to focus on healing the gut while detoxing. 1. Increases your kid's body's DAO, that is diamine oxidase production. DAO is the enzyme that breaks down histamine and removes it from the body. It is made primarily by healthy gut cells on the intestinal lining. 2. Removes histamine producing microbes. Due to our constant exposure of antibiotics from chlorine in our drinking water, non-organic produces, and insecticides sprayed in the lawns or gardens, we are a generation of low level of healthy microbes and high levels of histamine producing yeast. Rebalancing the microbiome is key to lowering your body's histamine levels. 3. Calms down mast cells, the type of white blood cells that are integral to the body's immune system. By repairing the gut lining, undigested food particles and toxins stop leaking into the bloodstream. Stopping this chain reaction stops the mast cells from releasing histamine every time they eat. Let's talk about what it's like when your kids are starting GAPS and their body switches into that build and repair mode. So usually what's in the forefront of people's mind when they start on GAPS is getting relief from the symptoms that they are dealing with, and that is absolutely something that GAPS addresses. But like Dr. Natasha talks about, the body is so smart, and it's like peeling away layers of an onion. The body decides what's first priority, what is going to be the next priority as far as detoxification and healing things. So you have to go into it with an open mind, knowing that the relief from the different symptoms may not come in the order that you are expecting. They may not come in the time frame that you are expecting to. Some things will get better sooner than you thought that they would. Some things will take longer than maybe you thought that they would. And it's all good. The body knows exactly what it's doing. We just need to trust that process and listen to it and support it. So when you're first start GAPS a lot of times, and I know that this is something that I have had to understand and overcome myself, especially when you are starting GAPS intro with the kids, but this goes for full GAPS too. If your kid is coming from another way of eating to full GAPS, is that body will start making some changes right away, just by cutting out certain things that they were eating before. And like I said, This is the most drastic on GAPS intro, because it's like the best form of an elimination diet, that there is, so your kids are getting relief from different things that were causing symptoms and inflammations and stuff like that. And then as they are making progress, seeing that leaky gut, you are slowly adding things back in, and then you are moving forward, widening your food choices. But the thing that I want you to remember is, when you are first starting something like this, you are also cutting out things that were feeding those pathogenic bacteria and yeasts and things like that. And so your kid's body is right away going to make some changes. The gut flora and things that are feeding on the starchier foods or maybe sweeter foods that they were eating before will start to die off, and before they die off, they are going to get kind of angry. They are going to be really screaming to be fed, and once you get past that and stick it out, feed your kids body the right things, and they start to die off, kids are going to experience some die offs or detox symptoms. Those can range from a variety of different things. It is really individual, but the key is to make it go as smoothly as be as mild as possible. You don't want to make yourself miserable, and that is kind of my overarching theme with this that I was talking about, that I kind of had to learn too, is that just by cutting out some of those things that the kids were eating before you start, the body onto that road of rebuilding and healing and detoxifying. So just be aware of how powerful that one little bit is, and resist that temptation to also load on that the same thing as cutting out some other foods load and bunch of probiotic foods at the same time. Your kid is going to probably feel pretty disgusting, annoyed if you do that, because you are going to not only be starving out the pathogenic flora and things that they were eating, the other foods that they are now not eating. If you also introduce way too many fermented foods, you are also causing a big die off by flooding your kids body with the beneficial bacteria that are going to go in and try to clean up, cause more die off. So the key is to go very slowly, only make one change at a time. The very first change is just going to be starting to eat those certain allowed foods, whether your kid is starting on GAPS intro or full GAPS. Then once you have adjusted to your kid's body, doing a pretty good, having a pretty easy time with this new way of eating, or not eating certain foods and focusing more on certain foods than they were before. And we are talking about just foods like meat stock and the vegetables, not even really the fermented foods yet. Just these new foods, which by the way adding something like more meat stock than they ever used to eat in their little lives, can also trigger into this healing and clean up process things that their body wants to do once it has those nutrients. Let's talk about what these detox symptoms can be like, because if you haven't experienced it yet, you might be kind of curious. So like I said, there can be very different, it's a very individual thing. It really depends on your kid's particular microbiome, your kid's particular symptoms that you have been dealing with. They can be flu-like symptoms, there can be headache, there can be just feeling tired, really tired. It's die off or detox symptom. That just means their body is working really hard, and it's important to listen to that and give it what it needs. Cut out unnecessary stuff, give them a ton of sleep, lots of extra rest, and just you will get through it and they will feel so much better. On the other side, die-off or detox feelings can feel like nausea. If you are really going too strongly with it, there can be vomiting. That's okay, just definitely means you are probably doing a bit too much and need to back off. So any kind of flu, it could be cold-like symptoms, extra discharge, runny nose or from their nose, like feeling like a viral cold, that can actually be a die-off or detox symptom. It can be skin rashes breaking out, especially if this is something that you are trying to fix. A skin rash getting worse can mean you are doing a little too much, usually of the fermented foods or maybe something like that really. It can be anything that kind of seems like a viral illness or that was like an old symptom. Now, here's where a lot of people get confused and they are like, how can I tell what's a die-off or detox symptom and what's an old symptom getting worse? And the good news is it is actually doesn't matter. They can be those two different things for sure, but the solution is the same. It is to block off a bit on adding your new foods. If you added a new food recently, you probably need to take that back out and spend some time on the previous step. If you added some more fermented food, you increase the amount, you need to back off of that, so that the solution is the same thing, whether it's die off and detox or an old symptom coming back from moving too quickly. Same solution, back off, back up, slow down. Let's talk about ways to get through these die-off and detox symptoms in general. We will discuss few of them elaborately on some upcoming videos for sure. The number one thing to remember is that it's not always going to feel like this. This is usually what they experience more in the beginning of gaps, and they will get through it and they will start getting relief from those symptoms. Their body will be doing its work, cleaning up, getting rid of stuff, and then on the other side they are going to feel better than you have ever noticed before. I have experienced that, and I know so many other people who have too. So remember that their body is doing important work. Support it and just trust that. The most practical thing in general is to go slowly with the process. So the next thing that I like to suggest are detox baths, especially Epsom salt baths. If you heat the fermented foods a bit too much and kids really feeling yucky, taking an Epsom salt bath is usually a really good way to feel a lot better very quickly. You can do several of these per day with your kids. If you need to do, you can also do other types of detox baths in either of Dr. Natasha's book, but especially her new blue book. She talks about all the different things that you can add to those detox baths, and these can be full body baths in the bathtub, or it could be even just be a foot soak with some of those things. Skin brushings or dry brushing is also helpful. They will get some relief. Sometimes just drinking more water will help flush things out. Sometimes getting more sleep is what your kid needs. That is something that I cannot emphasize enough about. When you are going through this, especially this deeper healing with your kid's body, is working really hard times, either in the beginning of the GAPS diet when they are fast starting, or later on when their body decides, okay, now we are going to do some deep healing. You will know when that happens. Do not compromise sleep. You really have to prioritize that, otherwise your kids are not going to heal. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is keeping bowel moving. So if you have started the GAPS introduction diet, and by the way, if your kid had chronic constipation before GAPS, you do not want to start with GAPS intro, because that's very low fiber and that's going to make things worse. You want to start with full GAPS. Focus on liver support and getting that chronic constipation resolved fast, and then you will be ready to go back and start GAPS intro. But if the constipation was not an issue before starting GAPS intro, and then you start intro and things slow down and your kids not having at least a daily bowel movement, then that's something that can start to make your kid feel really yucky very quickly. You want to make sure everything stays moving at least once a day, and water enemas are a very good way to get very fast relief, safe, easy way to get relief from constipation. Dr. Natasha talks all about exactly how to do that in this new blue book of hers, and also that is why working alone and working with a certified GAPS person makes difference aspect to the results. As if you can't assess a certain condition medically or clinically, they can do that for you and help doing the necessary customization for your kid. The other important thing is when it comes to detoxifying on the gaps is just taking measures to reduce our body's general toxic load as a whole. So some of those can be thinking about the items that we use, what they are made out of, the clothes that the kids wear, the toys they play with, the places we go, whatever they are exposed to. Personal care products, dishwashing soaps or liquids, house cleaning products, etc. Don't forget, our skin is the largest organ and it does absorb stuffs very quickly. Another important part of detoxifying on the GAPS diet is juicing. So this is one of the things that Dr. Natasha talks about as far as helping the body to remove different toxins like even heavy metal. Juicing is a really effective way of doing that. It's also very gentle way, which is really nice, because when you are detoxing, you don't want to cause things to go too quickly or be too severe, and juicing is a great way to do that. Another nice thing about juicing is that it tastes great, and kids will readily drink them, and they really enjoy it. Another part of detoxing on the GAPS diet that can be helpful for some people is heavy metal chelation. Now, there are a lot of different thoughts and methods out there for chelating heavy metals, and a lot of them are not a good idea because they are either not very effective or dangerous or both. I'll talk about this more elaborately in the next videos. Also, don't forget about vitamin N, that is nature. Soaking in morning sun for 1 hour in morning and 1 hour in late afternoon, or playing or jumping under sun is very effective way of naturally detoxifying your kid's body. Sunlight is considered as the biggest natural detoxifying agent present on earth. Food soaking or bathing in natural lake or seas or water bodies are equally effective as natural detoxification. Okay, I hope that you found that helpful. Leave me a comment down below and let me know what are some of the ways that you have tried implementing detox into your kids' diet. I'd love to hear what you are doing. Okay, so we have a free webinar coming on next Tuesday, that is 30th September, for autistic parents. I would ask you to join if you have more queries and want to learn more about GAPS diet. Please check the specific reel on my Instagram. I'll share the link somewhere down below, or just write webinar in the comments and I'll share you the link. So if you like this video and did find it helpful, give it a thumbs up. That helps other people find it. Consider sharing this video with anybody who you think might find it helpful. And if you are new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I make new videos every week on how beneficial GAPS diet could be for autistic kids with traditional nutritional health approach and easy, sustainable, healthy living. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.